Hey, what's up, podcast? It's Jeff. Just want to jump in here. This is a special bonus episode of Teach Better Talk. This is actually going to be the audio recorded from a Facebook Live that our team is doing every single day, Monday through Friday, at 8 a.m. Eastern Time in our Facebook private group. You can get in that group at teachbettergroup.com or go on to Facebook and just search Teach Better Team. You'll see our page and then you'll see the group. Get in there. So here we go, a special bonus episode of Teach Better Talk pulled from one of our Facebook Live videos in our private group at teachbettergroup.com. Hope you enjoy.
And we are live officially this morning for our amazing daily drop-in, where we are joining our Facebook group every single morning, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern to go live with amazing educators, talk shop, get your questions answered, brainstorm, all that fun stuff. And I get to be live this morning with one of my favorite administrators. Joe, how are you?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so stoked. I mean, the last time we got like a good chunk of time to talk was when we interviewed you on the Teach Better Talk podcast. And then before that, it was way back in December. So I will always take an opportunity to see how life is and catch up with you. That is always a good thing.
That feels like yesterday, wasn't it? When we were at, it's Impact EDU now, right? They renamed it. So
yes.
In Minneapolis, yeah. It was a cold week, I remember, if I recall.
It was freezing. I was freezing. Yes, that's very true. I do want to get into all these details, but as people start flooding in and they see you, I want to make sure that they also know kind of your background in education and the things that you've done, because I know that we're going to be sharing a lot of stories, and I want to make sure we give them context. So, Joe, would you mind kind of telling us what you do in education, your role, and then maybe a little bit, if you don't mind sharing, on what's going on with remote learning where you live?
Yeah, sure. My name is Joe Sage. I started teaching as an 8th grade earth science teacher in Shakopee, Minnesota. It was the first job I took. I did that for a few years and then quickly evolved into what's called a digital learning coach position. It was like a dream job. I got to work with tech and integration all day. So, there were days where I remember I would be like in a high school classroom, in an upper level math, working with a teacher, and a half hour later in a kindergarten room, on the ground, cross-legged, working with the little ones. And so it was really cool to be able to go from school to school across the district. At that same time, I started teaching physics. Physics First Movement was happening in Shakopee, and I also evolved into teaching some AP physics. It was phenomenal. I loved it. That's when I went and started to pursue more education and got my administrative degree and took a dean job at Faribault High School. That was 3 years ago, and that job transitioned now into one of the assistant principals at Faribault High School. And so I'm very blessed. I know we talked about it on the podcast, but I love my coworkers. I love working with kids every day. It's a dream come true. I could not be more happy. The distance learning thing is, as I've heard a few folks on your podcast, it's been a little rocky to start. I think for everyone, with our LMSs, crashing around the nation last week, but those things are starting to get up and running. And as kids build routines and teachers build routines, administrators build routines, everything is starting to come together, and we have some normalcy. It's close. I could feel it, but we're still working through some hiccups. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are feeling that. It's funny, Joe, I know we've had a lot of people commenting so far saying good morning. Remember, anybody listening, if you want to participate live, you just need to join our private Facebook group. We're live in here every single morning. But if you're listening to this after the fact, then these also become bonus episodes on Teach Better Talk podcast, and they're uploaded to our YouTube channel, so you can kind of catch the full clips there. But, Joe, when we started these daily drop-ins, it was at the very beginning points of all of this. States were shutting down, schools were shutting down, and everyone was kind of in this tizzy. And we kind of watched it evolve that now I actually really agree with kind of what you're saying now is people are kind of getting settled. I'm not saying that we've solved all the problems. There's definitely things we're still working through, finding the structure for all those missing pieces. But it's nice that at least at this point, people are feeling like they have information versus feeling like things are changing literally by the hour, which I do think it still changes quite frequently, but definitely like settling in a little bit, right?
Yeah. And you're right. Things continue to evolve. But as I was sitting, I get to work with these teachers and hop in these chats and see their curriculum and the things that we're doing. And I do believe wholeheartedly that having, the teacher, the student in the classroom with the teacher is just pivotal because of how great our teachers are and what they're doing. But I always try to look for bright spots. And I do think that when this is all said and done, that there's going to be some good that comes out of it. We're forced right now in many districts to utilize technology. And so folks are learning new things by the day. And I think that, as we have these conversations around what do assessments look like and what do grades look like? And right now, really importantly, what is the important learning that we need to be getting to students? These are critical conversations and we're being forced to have them. And so I think come fall, we might start seeing some new things in education across the country, and it might be good. So I'm hoping that even though this is challenging for our kids and our families, I'm confident and optimistic that some good things might come out of it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It feels like forbidden or dirty right now to talk about anything good coming from this horrible situation. But the reality is that nothing changes if nothing changes. And so while I absolutely agree that this is a horrible situation, that teachers are scrambling, that we need to be so appreciative of the people that are putting their life on the line to make this, us come through stronger on the other side. There's also a reality to we're educators, and seeing the silver lining in something is something that comes very naturally to most educators. So if we can look at this as, obviously a difficult situation, but also trying to see how we can come out stronger and better after this, I think is really important for us to begin talking about. It doesn't need to be the focal point of conversation. I'm not saying every teacher should be so thankful that we're in this horrible instance. But the reality is that we have been given this blessing of time. We've given this blessing of somebody really pushing us to get out of our comfort zone. We're given opportunities to fail with really low stakes. And it's challenging, but it actually is an opportunity for us to come back in August or come back in May or come back whenever we go back to school and at least be better educators. That was something we talked about very early on, that if you were going to come back to the classroom after all this and be the same, then what a missed opportunity, because we can either be stronger using technology, better at understanding the instances that our students are put in when they leave our classroom. I mean, there are so many areas to be educated, right?
And the way we communicate with families, I mean, that's changing rapidly. And I think what one thing that we can't miss here in all of this is that when you look at access, this is taking, they use the word achievement gap. I want to use the word opportunity gap, and it's opening it wide open. We have to be very careful that grades aren't being, we're not assessing based on privilege, right? Who has access to Wi-Fi? Who has access to devices? Who is at home with two parents who are able to assist them with their schoolwork? I can tell you, and I know that there are thousands and thousands of teachers out there. I have one at home, and there's two parents, and we're struggling. This is really, really hard. I talked to my colleague. He's got 3 kids. They're doing distance learning at home. He's trying to work. It's really tough for our educators, and so we have to recognize that that's happening for our families too, and it's really forcing us to look at the opportunity gap in our country.
No, and I think that's kind of this double-edged sword, right? I mean, I'm not necessarily advocating for remote learning be the norm in education. But my district was starting to look into it, but we were moving really slowly. And now everybody had to run full throttle into this brick wall, right? And just figure it out. Yeah. And there's a reality to some of these things that are horrible situations right now, actually being positives, because education usually moves slowly. The world around us moves quickly. I think this was a really great jumpstart to look at equity and all these other issues that I'm not saying we ignore them, but we kind of put them on the wayside sometimes. And there are a lot of amazing groups that continue to bring up these problems and really want change. And I mean, geez, aside from all of that, even just the opportunity for teachers to try things right now with seemingly every tech tool company coming out with some sort of free opportunity to explore. And so, I mean, it's hard for our families, but this is really an opportunity to do something amazing.
Yeah, and I want to comment. Someone, it just says Facebook user here. Someone had mentioned it's been amazing to see our community coming together to support each other, and I've seen this across the country. That could be the coolest part of all this. I mean, to see all of the different resources poured in. A few nights ago, last week on a Friday night, they did a 20-minute light. They lit up our football field. And so people came in their cars and all they did was turn on the lights. And it was so special. It was so cool. It brought community together. We recognize what's important right now in our life. And that's the people around us.
I love that. I think talking about community that's such an interesting topic. I love the idea that we are becoming a stronger community through this. And that's absolutely the truth when you see the amazing work that people around the world are continuing to do. So in your role, I mean, okay, you're an administrator, but you're obviously a parent as well. How are you finding this balance? What's the schedule of your day look like?
So every day is very, very different. Yeah. My wife is also an administrator. And so, we have a 3-year-old that's at the house. Both of us are in meetings frequently. We try our best to balance it. But some days it's really tough. I tell some folks that I get on web chats with, you might hear a dog and you might hear a kid. And many teachers are telling me the same thing, and that's okay. We try to keep them busy, but the hours look a little bit different too. Sometimes you get going really early in the morning and things are super busy, and there's a little bit of an afternoon in the break, break in the afternoon, and then you pick back up at night. But I would encourage everyone out there right now to find that balance where maybe in the middle of the day you go for a walk and you clear your head. When I'm sitting on computers for hours a day, it's just you start getting antsy and mindless. I can't do it. Throw your headphones in, take a call, go for a walk, get some fresh air, take those breaks, because it's important when we're digital like this all the time.
I like the idea of taking a phone call and a walk. I hadn't thought about that one. That's such an easy one that, you don't have to find a break in your day to do that. You can actually still be working and still be getting out. Jeff Gargis, who I know is probably in here watching, had made a comment to me earlier this week that we went a whole day not talking. And he's like, I don't like that at all. And then I think with super MIA yesterday as well, I worked in the morning, did a bunch of stuff with my school, with my students. And then I just sat on my back patio in the sun for an hour. It was so nice to have this break, and I left my phone inside and the dogs were hanging out. So I think this idea of finding some sort of balance and structure in your day is something I'm still figuring out, but it seems like everyone else kind of has a little bit of a routine that they can pinpoint. In the morning we do something like this, in the evening we do something like this, right. And usually there's a break in the middle. Well,
and I'm curious your thoughts on this. I know you're so well, you're very well connected, and you're active on social media and through all of these organizations. My biggest struggle, and I have to be better at it, is these things. I mean, you're getting emails, you're getting text messages, and then at night I sit down to unwind and I want to go to Twitter, and so I'm on Twitter, and I recognize I'm on screens so frequently throughout the day, and I have to figure out a way to put that down. I know it's the right thing to do, and I encourage everyone out there to try to find that time where we separate ourselves from it.
Well, isn't it interesting because we could absolutely now get into this conversation around finding balance and the tools that we're using ourselves. But there's a really popular conversation going on in the flip side of the students' interaction in that same capacity. You know, we have a lot of families right now. We have a lot of students right now who I just gave a survey. Let's just talk about like my kiddos. Like I work with 156 graders. They just did our end of the week reflection because technically today we have an institute day and then Friday we didn't have school. So like Wednesday was the end of our week last week or this week.
Oh, sure.
And a lot of them were like, I was like, how did the week go? What do you need? How was your workload? Like it was truly just exploratory so that I could be better for them next week. And one of the comments that kept coming up over and over and over was, I loved what we did for class, but a lot of my assignments are on the computer. And I get so tired by the end of the day staring at my computer. And I'm like, oh, that's like, it's such valuable feedback, but it like breaks my heart because I don't know that really all of my stuff was on the computer, but I really need to be even more cognizant that how could I cut that, whatever was done on the computer, how can I cut that in half next week? I don't know how I'm going to do it, but how can I take this time and create more experiences for students that aren't just them sitting in front of a computer? Because I'm having a struggle doing it myself and they're 11. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, I wholeheartedly agree. And there is a balance right now, a critical balance between content and relationships. I know a lot of conversation around on Twitter and on the COVID-19 Facebook group and really all over the places. Okay, so how many hours should a kid be engaging in content each day right now? And it looks different at the high school than it does at the middle school than it does at the elementary school.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys have, I know that Illinois and a few other states released actually details about that topic, which I talked about it on a Facebook drop-in. I don't remember which day it was, but maybe it was last week. I thought it was so helpful that I literally was given a minute-by-minute range of the things that I should be assigning. And I'm not saying that like I want to be constrained and be told what to do, but it was nice to have the safety net of a little bit of structure and consistency that then I could go to my team teachers, I could go to my colleagues, I could go to teachers that I collaborate with at the elementary and the high school level and say, hey, I'm glad we're all on the same page with what this assignment, type looks like. Right. And to be honest, Joe, although I'm sorry, I'm cutting my own question off because I do want to hear if you guys did any of that. I also, on the flip side, heard from my students in response to that yesterday. So I think it would be cool to talk about that as well. But did you give any precautions on timelines for what people should be working?
What we basically did is we had a group of what we called facilitators, administrators across the district working with each different grade level. And I think that we were all pretty consistent on it. I think, looking back, one of the biggest mistakes that we made was that, and I don't, in hindsight, I don't really know if this one was too much on us, but it all happened so fast. And then we're out working with these groups. We had 2 weeks. And so, there may have been some slight inconsistencies, but I think that we, at the high school level, we were pretty consistent in this idea that it should be between 20 and 30 minutes per class per day.
That's very consistent with the other things I'm seeing as well. Yeah.
We said that during the very first week, which was last week of distance learning, there does not need to be any new content. You don't even have to put content. We got to check on our kids. The content is secondary right now. I got this email. It was forwarded to me from a student yesterday around just this incredible teacher. And the Schoology message said, she sent it to the principals and said, I just want to let you know that I had a question in this class. And so the teacher almost immediately got on a Google Meet with me. And before talking about any content, she asked me how I'm doing. We spent 10 minutes just talking about my life and what I'm doing. And I just want to let you know how much that meant to me. And that just warms my heart because that's so critical right now. It's so much more important than the content. And yes, the content is the tool that we use to in our classrooms, and it's important. But at the same time, right now, these kids they just need their teachers. They need to hear from them and have that conversation.
No, I totally agree. And I love that you brought up this no new content and this focus of relationships, because I think that's been echoed. While we've watched this evolution, that's something that's been so consistent throughout, is teachers saying, I just need to have contact with my students. I just need to focus on relationships. And I'm just going to maybe start with review. So we know that students have background knowledge. We're just kind of going over things. And I know a lot of states are talking about this idea of new content. I know some states are requiring new content, but the majority of the teachers I'm working with that kind of span a lot of the Midwest, a lot of the East Coast, are really just in it to build relationships, in it to provide learning opportunities, but they're not assigning grades. There's really no new content. It's kind of everyone just kind of trying to get their feet under themselves and just check on people. It's important.
Yeah, and I agree with Alex V here. He says hours ? The question should be how many minutes in a setting. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. To expect kids just to sit down and engage on online content for hours is just, it's not right.
No, you're right. Yeah.
I agree.
We have Candace posted here. A few of my kids are begging for new grids. I'm trying really hard to slow them down, but I have a few that thrive on just keeping busy. What do you think of Candace's comment about how students are just hungry to learn?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an amazing opportunity to provide some options for them. I mean, we can certainly differentiate during these times. I mean, we have many kids that are just sponges. They just miss learning. And so you absolutely want to provide those opportunities for them. But at the same time, we have to keep in mind, the entire spectrum of kids and some that might not have that opportunity to engage in that learning. So like you said, I mean, not the grades right now, I'm going to kind of make a bold statement, but I don't think any kid should fail during this time period. We should not give Fs. It's not the right thing to do during this time. And so to answer that question, I wholeheartedly agree. Differentiate and provide them with some opportunities and let them soar. Yeah, we shouldn't have a ceiling.
I love it. Joe, these daily drop-ins, we take questions and we like to talk through a lot of things, but Candace is not only extremely active in our private group, but I really love to do a little bit more of a deep dive into her question. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So Candace, when you're talking about how students are hungry for more information, more learning, and you actually noted like the grid method being a tool in which you use, which that I use as well. So for those of you who aren't familiar, the grid method is a mastery framework that allows your teachers to put in any content, any curriculum, K-12, and we say K-12, but I work with college professors on using a grid method. So let's just say in all grade levels and all subject areas. And it essentially provides a personalized learning pathway for students, which scaffolds information using Webb's depth of knowledge, which is just a great scaffolding system that allows your students to start with the basics and continue to build on their learning from there once they prove mastery, right? So a lot of us in the private Facebook group know the grid method. It's one of the main pieces that we do district partnerships with, where we go into districts and we help them coach their teachers throughout this process. So Candace, when you're talking about students being hungry for a new grid, what I want to challenge you is, Candace, rather than looking at building new grids, I want to challenge you to look at how you're building your grid. If we're scaffolding using Webb's depth of knowledge, that means as a student gets farther and farther throughout the learning opportunities you've provided, they should get more challenging and more in depth to really challenge their thinking. And so what we've done with the grid method is, I know Webb's depth of knowledge only has 4 levels, but a grid has 5. And a grid has 5 because the last learning opportunity you provide should be so open-ended that your students should be able to run with it for however long you need them to. So for example, in my level 5, I usually start with some sort of prompt, and then I provide the student a proposal they need to fill out for me. And essentially they're proposing an idea on how they're going to solve the prompt. And so my challenge for you, Candace, is rather than necessarily feeling like you have to create all these grids, how can you maybe reshare the grids that you've already done with students that already have built-in enrichment for you? And then how can we make those enrichment opportunities more rigorous, more in-depth, so that students can really dive into those more deeply rather than just going through the learning opportunities that are at those lower levels? So I'm sorry to blab on this. I'm sorry, Joe, that I'm taking all of our time.
No, I like listening. This is great.
No, I just think it's so valuable. My students are doing like mini grids right now. That's how I'm rolling out remote learning. And my enrichment is literally a never ending activity. And so when we talk about students having the opportunity to explore beyond what might be assigned, and assigned is so loose right now because everything in my class is optional, you really want to make sure that you're not like, I don't know what the phrase is, but like stabbing yourself in the back trying to figure out like, oh, what's the next thing I'm going to provide? Rather, let's go deeper, more purposefully with those students that are interested in that. And I think this is a really good opportunity to do that. So Candace, I'm so excited for you. I hope that you like share what you do, because I can't wait to see what your students propose they should be doing for enrichment. I think that's going to save you a lot of time and foster that creativity.
And what does Candace teach?
That is a great question. I should know that. I coach.
Sorry, I put you on the spot.
No, it's okay. I don't know. Candace, remind me what you teach. If you don't mind in the comments, we'd love to learn more. I wish that I knew off the top of my head. There's so many amazing educators in our private group, and a lot of them participate all the time. So I'm embarrassed. I'm sorry, Candace. I should totally know. I want to just say, to the teachers that are, waking up early here and spending their time continuing to learn and to biology, it looks like. Biology. All right, there you go.
Yeah, I just want to thank you. It's right now it's really easy to check out and prioritize in different areas. Yet you're here, you're learning, you're still talking with educators. That's so cool. I really appreciate that. So to all the teachers who are continuing to learn and expand on knowledge and work to be better for our kids, you rock. We appreciate you.
Joe, you're so awesome. I have a question for you though, Joe. Andrea posted in here, she's like, in my weekly reflections with students, most said they're bored and looking forward to e-learning beginning and looking forward to learning. So do you have any ideas, Joe, that maybe you've seen your teachers do or seen online? If a student's saying that they want more opportunities to learn, similar to what Candace said, that they're bored at home, any options of like easy things we could be having students do that may not be as much work on teachers and like might benefit students just exploring a little bit more?
So I notice here it says, looking forward to e-learning actually beginning. So Andrea, I'm assuming, are you guys in a period of time right now where you're building and no content is coming out? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had that for 2 weeks too, and it was brutal because we had kids saying the same thing. The same things we want to learn. The assistant principal and I jumped on a Facebook Live and talked to the community one day, and one of the things that we encourage kids to do over and over again is to read, is to read anything and everything. You don't have to read what people are telling you to read anymore. What are you interested in? Pick up a book and find some time to read. That was one piece of advice that we gave teachers.
I really like that. I also think any opportunity you can provide for students to go be active is really important. I know that we want our students to stay inside, and we don't necessarily want we're not encouraging students to go like be social at the park. But we did a daily drop-in with Michael Jennings. That would have been like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. Go back and find that daily drop-in. He is a PE teacher who literally gave a ton of ideas during our drop-in that were really quick challenges you could give to students to having to do with balancing and being physical, but like in the safety of their home with like household items. It just was a really cool challenge to give to students. We're actually doing those for our daily challenges that I'm assigning my students of, find a towel and create something with it and then share out what you create. And I think those types of opportunities do allow students to kind of use those creative juices in their head.
It's so important now more than ever that our kids are active and they find some time during the day to engage in some physical activity. And so I really love hearing that stories like that where we're promoting it.
Well, Joe, I'm committed. I'm going to do a phone call walk today because for whatever reason, I feel like all my calls are Zoom calls, but I'm going to call into one rather than being on camera, and I'm going on a walk during a phone call. I think that sounds perfect what I need for today.
Well, your good buddy Jeff is he's running all these miles. I'm seeing. I'm like, what gives? I mean, you're running like 10 miles in 2 days. I haven't done that all year.
When I met Jeff and Chad, I met them on Twitter, literally during a Twitter chat is how I met them. And they were not active. Like they were normal people, couch potatoes, right? Like all the rest of us. And now they go run like all these miles and they're losing all this weight. They're all healthy. And I'm still sitting here like twiddling my thumbs like, why are all these people running? I don't understand.
It does though. It feels so good. I mean, you're more productive after it, but it's tough to do. There's that, for the folks out there looking for something there's a lot of great stuff online, where you can work out right in the luxury of your own home, Beachbody on demand. It's awesome. Yeah.
So do you have a favorite program or favorite workout that you're doing right now?
My go-to is the Shaun T episodes on Beachbody. So he's got like the Insanity, he's got the Max 30, and so I attempt to get through them. There's a lot of breaks, a lot of water breaks, but it feels good, staying active and trying to do those things.
I think that's really good. I am doing yoga by Adrienne in the morning on YouTube. So I would encourage everyone, get into yoga, do something. Running,
I've never done it.
Something. Yeah.
I've never done yoga. I'll have to give that one a shot.
Yoga is the best. It's like a workout that it's my cop-out workout. I know yoga is really challenging, but my background's in dance. I actually got into teaching because I was a dance instructor. And so for me, yoga is like similar enough that I feel like I can get into it. Running, I give up so fast. Like I give up so quickly.
I know. Yeah, I understand that. But hey, good job, Jeff. And you said, they're running. Good for them. Yeah.
So healthy. And I like Alex says, #team walking, not running.
Yes. Alex, I don't know you, but I like you. That's wonderful.
Yeah. I also think it's really valuable, and I'm sorry, the names don't come up on our end. So if you're participating, feel free to put your name at the end of your comments. We make sure to specifically address you. Although I am going to look here. It looks like Kevin also notes the value of how many resources are actually accessible right now for teachers. So if you're looking for extension activities or things to do with students, look up those STEM activities that are so available right now, or look up what tech resources exist that you can give your students the opportunity to explore rather than you having to create every single learning opportunity yourself. I think that's a great comment.
Yeah. A small community near me sent a Facebook message asking everyone to put stuffed animals in their windows so kids in the area can take scavenger hunt walks looking for them. How cool is that?
I love that. Awesome. That's so great. That was very cool. Let me see who posted that comment. I had it up on my phone and now I just closed it. I think that's a great idea. Is your community doing anything like that?
No, we haven't yet. I'm learning a lot here as I just watch these brilliant educators put stuff in. That's an idea that I'm going to bring out. But no, I love that. That's cool.
Looks like that was posted by Veronica. Veronica is doing wonderful things in her classroom, and I love when she pops into our Facebook Lives because she always has questions that have no fear in them. I love teachers that are able to ask questions for the sake of really wanting to be better. And Veronica constantly comes with these challenging questions, wanting to just be better for her students. And I think that's really important. Gosh, I wish we could all be like that all the time. That's not easy to do. It makes you very vulnerable.
It does. And for all of the teachers and educators on this chat right now, I'm very interested in, feel free to comment. What is your biggest struggle right now? When you wake up, what's given you, anxiety and fright to experience throughout the day with all of this? I'm very curious to hear what folks are saying.
Yeah, while you are answering Joe's question, I do want to highlight, remember that if you want to participate live in these conversations, you just need to pop over into teachbettergroup.com. It's just a private Facebook group of thousands and thousands and thousands of educators that come together to talk shop. You can participate live in these conversations Monday through Friday, every single morning for our daily drop-ins. But then you can also catch these after the fact on YouTube and as bonus episodes for Teach Better Talk podcast. Additionally, I know I've heard from a lot of you recently in my email But don't forget that we have our distance learning portal that has all the free downloads, all the YouTube playlists, all the courses, all the blogs that we've been producing for this remote learning, e-learning, distance learning environment. And so if you're a teacher who's kind of looking for a free download to help you structure your week in your classroom, or a course to help you better facilitate what you're doing with students, that is accessible at teachbetter.com. So I know a lot of you are using it, but if you have not yet checked that out, there'll actually be 2 or 3 new things coming today or tomorrow. I want to say today. That's going to be releasing for our administrators to try and help them continue to structure the work that they're doing as well. So no matter what type of educator you are, we really are trying to help you. And the faster you come and tell us that you need something, the faster we can create it. So Joe, while people are throwing in their answers so far with wanting to share what's kind of like keeping them up at night, what's kind of their struggle so far, because we want to make sure we get to those. I also want to mention, I hope you can find time to join us for our administrator mastermind that the
I saw that.
Yeah, we're hosting on the 15th of April, and it's kind of spur of the moment. We just have contacts with so many amazing administrators. Yeah. Why not get them in the same room, you know?
I'd love that. I would absolutely count me in.
Awesome. We'd love to have you. If you are interested, either listening right now live or after the fact, you can sign up for the Administrator Mastermind. It's on April 15th at 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern. And to be honest, it is going to be a private event. You do need to be somebody who can like register for this. We can give you the private link. So you can head over to teachbetter.com/mastermind. And you can actually not only choose to participate as an administrator, but if you're a teacher listening right now, forward this link to your principal to get them involved, because we're not really like specifically talking about anything. We're hoping people bring questions. It's going to be more of a roundtable format. And our hope is that you make a connection with other administrators who are in a similar district or a very different environment to just talk shop. So Joe, I think you'd be such a great fit for this. I hope you choose to join us.
I would absolutely love to. You'll have to send me some more info on that when we.
I will. I'll send you the link. teachbetter.com/mastermind. We'll get you all registered.
I like it. I'm in. Yeah, I'll be there.
So with these comments, Joe, anything that we think we need to highlight? So, well, one is just appreciating our positive approach. I think that's really important with our daily drop-in, that we not only want to talk about the hard things, but really talk about ways that we can be better. So very cool. I know Candace is posting here that she's struggling with not being able to be with her kids. Yeah. She misses just the day-to-day interactions with them. And while Zoom is a great tool, you know, it's not the same. So are you finding the same thing to be true with yourself, Joe?
Yeah, it isn't the same. But let me assure you one thing, Candace, is, you miss your kids and they miss you. There's no doubt about it. And so just reassuring them that we will get through this and continuing to reach out to them is important. This one just breaks my heart, the struggle. I'm hearing the district is not 1-to-1, a low socioeconomic area. We are really not able to teach. And let's just be real. She's right. That is the reality of it. Content is, it's not even secondary. It's non-existent because how do you do it with social distancing? We have found it's so difficult to get materials to students, so I can't tell who, it was Jessica. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What I would encourage you to do, maybe jump on the Google, I'm blanking on the name, where you can call folks from Google Voice. Mm-hmm. Use Google Meets, anything that you can just do to just have your kids see your face. That will lessen their anxiety. That will lessen their stress. You are a comfort to them. They love you. They need to hear from you and see you. And so as hard as that is, that, as a teacher, Jessica, that you can't deliver content, it's okay. We understand the situation you're in, and the tasks that you'll be faced with every day now will just look different.
Yeah, I think that every single educator right now is creating their own schedule based on the needs of their students. And Jessica, one of the main focuses you're going to have, I hope, is just to try and build relationships. So if that's having a spreadsheet and making a call to every single family every single week, if that's even humanly possible, or something along the lines. Like, you now have the gift of time, which I know is a double-edged sword. And with this time, choose to connect with your students, even if it's just a phone call and it doesn't seem like enough. It doesn't seem like, what you got into education for, building relationships with those kids, being present, even just leaving a voicemail. I know sometimes we make so many phone calls and you don't get the other person on the other line. They're going to get your message. They do appreciate you. And that work is really valuable. And then I would challenge you, if possible, and Joe, I don't know if you agree, because we have this gift of time and because we have this struggle with not being able to teach, then that gives us two focuses: building relationships with students, which it sounds like you're already going to do, and exploring new things that you've never had the time to do before. So
absolutely.
Tech tools, take a course at Teach Better Academy, like you're doing right now, pop in for a daily drop-in, just work on being your best self. So when you do get back with students, you're giving them the best version of yourself that you ever had before. So it's really important. Yeah,
you are right, Ray. This is a great opportunity to learn, and we certainly have to capitalize on that. And I will mention, one of the things I've heard teachers say is, even using Google Voice, and I called a few folks from my cell phone yesterday, and what does everyone do now when they see a number they don't know? They silence it, right? Yeah. So one tip that I would give to folks is, using these platforms, send them a text message first. Everyone always reads a text message. So once they get it, hey, this is Mr. Sage. I'm looking to connect with your son or daughter. I'm going to call you at this time from this number. Hope to connect. And I think that you'll find some more success with that.
No, Joe, I really like that. And that sounds like such a simple idea that I don't know that I've thought of. So with Google Voice, you can text and call. Yeah,
that's it does it all. It's really, really slick. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So you could actually, like, if I was structuring my day, if I wanted to call 10 families, I could send them all a text message before the day even started, or like in the morning saying, hey, I'm going to call you at some point today. Just wanted to make you aware that this is my number. And you could send them a really nice message that's maybe more in depth than that, just in case you don't get them on the phone, and then give them a call at some point and connect that way. That's really awesome.
Yeah, it's a great way to communicate with them.
Very cool. Well, I know there's been a lot of other things that have been shared. It's teachers doing challenges on Flipgrid and everything in between. Teachers using the Remind app, which I know is another opportunity that you have to communicate with families. So anything you can do to enhance that connection, I think, is really just continuing to be echoed over and over in our daily drop-in this morning.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, Remind is a wonderful tool. Yep.
So, Candace did just comment, last week I called my students and this week sent individual emails. So I think there's so many different ways to connect, depending on the age of your students and the technology they have access to, whether it be a text message, a phone call, an email. I see teachers doing, Flipgrids where they're sending videos back and forth. Through Seesaw, you can do that. I know a lot of teachers are recording themselves on camera and sending that out. And while some of those means of communication are either one way and not always giving that two-way interaction, it's still our responsibility to try and provide that safety net for our students where they can see our face, hear our voice, and have us reassure them that we're going to get through this and we're going to be okay. We all kind of need that right now, I think. We're feeling a little stuck at the moment.
I definitely agree with that. And I will say, in terms of as we're on this note of talking about new tools, I do recall someone getting me on Instagram. I tried that. You got me on it in December at the Impact Conference. And now what I really appreciate, all these videos are coming out of teachers, saying hi to kids and telling them we miss them. And this TikTok thing is just exploding. I love watching teachers learn how to use TikTok and make videos and send them out to the kids. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I think any way that teachers are getting out of their comfort zone and trying something new is a huge positive. We have been live together for this conversation for about 45 minutes. There has been so many things that we have been able to cover, and you have provided so much value. I do want to ask, though, if I was popping into this daily drop-in, I arrived late, I'm catching the last few minutes, and I didn't know anything about what we've talked about, what would you want a teacher's biggest takeaway or an educator's biggest takeaway to be after connecting with you with this daily drop-in?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a tough question. We talked about a lot of stuff, what's best for our kids right now in the classroom, whether that's, grading or assessment or time in front of a screen. We talked about ways to connect with families and students and how to best utilize that. We looked into, how do we differentiate for our kids that need a little bit more. If you didn't catch that part, go back and listen to Ray. She had some great ideas in terms of kind of building on the grids. I think that sounded absolutely wonderful. And we just kind of filled our hearts this morning and filled our cups back up with the fact that, we care about these kids, and these kids care about teachers. And, in times like this, educators need to hear that the kids love them. And we know that they all love the kids. And it's just important that those relationships are at the forefront of what we're doing right now.
I love that, Joe. It's so powerful. Before we head out, because I know that you are very active on all social media and always willing to talk shop with people, I really think in our future, Joe, we are going to be talking shop more and more and more. This is a friendship. You're not going to be able to get rid of me. How can our network, the people listening now or even after who are catching this episode as a bonus episode on Teach Better Talk or on our YouTube channel, how can they stay connected?
With me personally?
With you, of course. With you.
Yeah. My number one social media tool that I use is on Twitter, and my handle is Joe Sage FHS. That's JoeSaje FHS, or as Jeff says, Joe Sage.
I know, that was a funny part of our podcast.
Yeah. So no, I really encourage anyone that wants to connect through Twitter. I love collaborating with folks and learning from others. And so feel free to follow me. I will follow you back. Like I said, I'm a lifelong learner. So if you're putting out content and you want to chat about education and teaching, I'd love to connect with you.
Yeah, and I can echo that. Joe is always responding to people. He's always commenting on things. Every time I talk to you, Joe, you are like this positive energy, and you speak in such practicality, and you understand that education's hard. And I love your mindset on just trying to help people be their best. And I think that like oozes out of you every time we chat. And I just always enjoy our conversations because it's filled with these inspirational, really powerful messages, but also very tactical tips that we all need that we can go take to our classrooms tomorrow. And so I really appreciate that about you. And I'm really appreciative that you joined us for our daily drop-in, because these are so fun to be able to pop in every single morning, Monday through Friday, and talk education to kick off our day. So thank you for being here.
Oh, I appreciate you having me. And I know a lot of folks right now are just checking out new podcasts. And so maybe this is the first time you've listened to one. And I would encourage you to check out the Teach Better Facebook group. For someone like me, what I really love about that, honestly, is that it's just instant PD. It's just content coming across a platform that I use frequently. So follow the Teach Better team, join that Facebook group, with Twitter and Facebook, and really it's PD at your fingertips, and it's there when you want it. I can sign on, and if I'm in the mood to be looking at PD and stuff like that, it's there for me. And so check that out if you haven't yet. It's a great opportunity.
Awesome. I really appreciate that, Joe. And for everyone else, we will see you tomorrow bright and early for our daily drop-in. We will be live with Suzanne Daly, who is actually a blogger with us at teachbetter.com. She presented at Teach Better Conference 2019, and she oozes happiness as well. So, Joe, you won't want to miss that one either. Suzanne is a part of a blog series that we have over at teachbetter.com called Teach Happier. And so if you want to see what sunshine looks like bright in the morning, you just go see Suzanne Daly. I'm so excited to see her tomorrow. So thank you again, Joe, for everything that you do. We'll see everybody else tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern. See you later.
I love it. Thanks so much.